Good evening once again, and we open with one of the best logos in all of organized sports, the Chicago Blackhawks. Probably one of the best uniforms you'll ever see. Chicago Blackhawks are in the Stanley Cup Final, and they are winning 2-1. It's a best-of-7 Stanley Cup Final, and the game is going to be tomorrow night. It's going to be the fourth game, and it's going to be in Philadelphia. If you have HBO, you should watch this segment they have on HBO called The Broad Street Bullies. That's really all you need to know about the Philadelphia Flyers, at least during the 1970s. A guy named Dave Schultz headed up a band of mayhem, and they bullied themselves to 2 Stanley Cups, but they haven't been back since then. But we're very excited here at Ideas at Work and Beyond. Everyone, from Rich Merritt to Dave to Al Robinson, they're all very big Chicago Blackhawk fans, and we're hoping for the best. So make sure you watch that. Tonight, the LA Lakers are taking on the Boston Celtics. We will keep you posted with occasional scores periodically, so you need not turn away from Ideas of Work and Beyond, because we will keep you updated right here. And a basketball game, if we're really honest with ourselves, doesn't really start until at least the fourth quarter. So tonight, I am absolutely thrilled to have a good friend of mine here, and we are going to explore the world of Rotarians. The Rotarian organization has been around since 1905. It was started by a Chicago lawyer, no doubt a Blackhawks fan back in the day, and from there it's grown. But I've invited, and he's agreed to come in, Alex Carcinini.
How you doing, Marty?
Thank you very much for coming in. And this is something that I think everyone sort of has an understanding of, the Rotarians. They're good, hardworking people in blue blazers. But tonight we're going to find out what really makes this organization tick, what it's doing on a global scale, and what it's doing right around here. But before we start, what is your association with the Rotarians?
Well, I'm the current president of the Ridgefield Rotary Club, which the fiscal year operates from July 1st through June 30th. Mm-hmm. So I'm the current president for the 2009 to 2010 year. Okay. I was the acting president for part of the year in 2008 to 9 because our president at that time had a medical problem, so I actually had to fill in earlier than anticipated. So it was sort of, trial by fire coming.
All right. You got a battlefield promotion.
Battlefield promotion, exactly. So we have, our club has been around since 1941. Okay. We currently have 32 members and growing. A lot of our members have been with us. Some of them have been in there for close to 50 years.
Wow.
The average is probably somewhere in the area around 15, the high teens. Right. And some of our newer members are with us maybe 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Well, I had the privilege of joining you for dinner a few weeks ago, and you had none other than the existing Attorney General of Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal, who was there pre-snafu over his war record, and it was a bit of a love fest, but it was a very interesting time to have the Attorney General speak to your group at the Rotary Club.
I've been fortunate in being able to attract a number of very interesting speakers, elected officials, people who are experts in their fields of different professions. Mm-hmm. Mr. Blumenthal was one of the people we thought would be interesting, especially in the current election environment.
He's running for the United States Senate.
But we've also had previously Rob Simmons come to speak to us. We've had some of the other candidates. We've had Congressman Jim Himes come to us and speak to the group, who's our current congressman for Ridgefield. Yeah. A number of people. I mean,
I remember you had Chris Shays.
Chris was a regular at our meetings. Senator Tony Boucher is a regular. She pops in. Matter of fact, she was just at our meeting last night. She just popped in with her husband. So
now, what is it? Before we get to some of the things, because I really want to talk about first of all the founder, Paul P. Harris. Also, what you're doing about polio in Africa and what makes it tick. But let me just ask this, because I think some of the viewers might want to know: what does it take to become a Rotarian? Is there a secret handshake? Do you have to get the nod from existing Rotarians? Is there any sort of Mason type secret anything, or how does that work?
No, it's nothing as sinister as that. Typically, a prospective member is introduced to the club through a friend or a business associate. You typically are invited to come to attend our meetings, and there is a requirement of attending 3 meetings as a prospective member, basically for us to get to know you, to see what you're about, maybe learn a little bit about your experience and what you have maybe to offer, maybe get a little bit of idea of what your character is and so forth. And then also for the individual to learn a little bit about us. Okay. Because
and then at that point, is there some sort of a vote, or how does that?
You then apply, make a formal application for membership to the club. Our board of directors reviews the application again to make sure that we sort of agree with we want to have this person as a member.
Right.
Once that's approved, then it's presented to the general membership of our club for their review and comment, in case somebody may have something that they know personally. If any one member objects for some reason, the application is returned to the board for further review and another vote. And at that point, if the board overrides the objection of the member, the prospective new member is brought in. But if there is something truly legitimate, then we have turned people away in the past.
Is it safe to say, though, that at least the Rotary Club in Ridgefield is open to new members? They're always keen on having new members come in. They're welcoming, and the door is open for members.
We were always interested in having more people join us. We're always encouraging new members. Matter of fact, that's one of the major strategic themes of Rotary International this year, and it sort of filters down to the local clubs such as us, is to encourage new membership, to bring in new people, to get new ideas, to get them involved, and to continue the projects of Rotary.
All right, let's look at this from 100,000 feet. Rotary International, what does it exist for? What is the driving force? What's the motivation? What's the mission of the Rotary?
Well, Rotary International really acts as any major organization as your corporation head. They're the ones who create the strategy. They're the ones that have 19 member board of directors and trustees who set the tone and the strategy of the plans every year. In some cases, there are 3-year plans that they do. And that, in turn, as any good corporation, it is then presented down to the district level. There are 560 districts throughout the world. And within each district, there is a district governor, who in turn then has his structure underneath him, and so forth down the line to the club president and the officers within the club.
You're giving me the hardware. I want to know the software. You're giving me the skeletal structure. I want to know the soul. Let me read something to you. What would it take to change the world? Rotary International is the world's first service organization with more than 1.2 million members and 33,000 clubs worldwide. Rotary Club members are volunteers who work locally, regionally, and internationally to combat hunger, improve health and sanitation, provide education and job training, promote peace, eradicate polio under the motto
Service above self.
Service above self.
Exactly.
So, what does that mean? It's a good description, but how do you see that working itself out through your involvement and what Rotary is doing around the world? And I think we have some pictures too of some things that Rotary is doing. It'd be good to roll through some of those as well.
Well, service above self is obviously a subjective thing for every individual, but you do have to have a desire to help, in your community, and in some cases, people's perspective of community could be worldwide. They're more concerned about helping people in the rest of the world.
Okay, so here we have people that are delivering food. Is that what's going on?
That would be delivering food in many cases, as has recently been done in Haiti, where Rotary has had, through our Haitian Health Foundation, which is a major Rotary project, and we've been there for well over 25 years.
Right.
So we already had the structure on the ground where we were able to, probably one of the first organizations that were able to start offering assistance, pulling all our resources together from the various Rotary clubs and all of the different resources and products and everything were again sort of shipped down there, and we had the structure.
You also had Rotarians in Haiti.
We had Rotarians, and we have Rotary clubs in Haiti.
Yeah.
We had Rotarians who volunteered to go down to Haiti and to service there. We have teams of physicians that have been in and out of Haiti on a regular basis over the past 25 years. We have ongoing projects going on there. We donate goats to people to encourage them to breed the goats, and then for milk and for future breeding. We have homes that I didn't bring it with me, but we recently, our club donated to the Haitian Health Foundation, where our donation assisted in the construction of a new home. And
is that locally here, or this is down?
This is our club, but it's down in Haiti.
Oh, okay.
And again, our donations went into with other clubs, and the resources were used to construct a home. It's a simple home, but it's better than the thatch hut that they had before. And you're talking about a family of 7 people living in a one-room thatch hut, whereas now it's, by our standards, maybe still nothing to get excited about, but for them, it's a cinder block home with a solid roof that's going to keep the rain off of them, and probably have some very basic
and that
facility.
was money collected through the Rotarians here in Ridgefield.
Well, it's our club would made our donation to the Haitian Health Foundation. They pooled together donations from other Rotary clubs, from other organizations. They get donations from outside the Rotary structure too. I mean, we're certainly not going to turn donations away from anyone who'd like to contribute.
And that's one thing that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Rotarian, it's non-sectarian. It's not a Christian organization per se. It's humanitarian, crosses religious lines.
It's non-political.
Crosses political lines.
We have Democrats as well as Republicans. It is non-sectarian. We have Rotary clubs in Muslim countries, in Hindu countries. India is a major country of Rotary clubs.
Really? India is
a major place. And that's actually one, we're sort of going into the polio area now, but India is one of the endemic countries still with polio. And it's always been a major project there to eradicate polio in India. And the Rotarians there are very active. They have their national inoculation days where they go around giving, I think you had a picture of...
if you can show the child getting inoculated, that would be good.
They have, basically it's the oral vaccine, which is 2 drops, which is supposed to be given over a 3-year period. And that in turn would help the child become inoculated. Am I getting...
No, you're fine. So what is the results been of the polio inoculation? Is that primarily in Africa?
Not really. Well, Africa is probably the largest area that's covered by being still endemic as far as polio is concerned. But you do have countries. Afghanistan is still involved.
Really?
Yeah. India still has some. There's a few other countries. I believe Pakistan is also in there. So there's maybe 4 or 5 countries that are still pretty serious problems as far as polio, and require ongoing inoculations. part of it is access to people because of rural areas.
Yeah.
Roads are very primitive. Some of it is governmental problems. Obviously, you can imagine trying to inoculate people in the hills of Afghanistan with the war going around you. But we actually have had some very active projects there. We've built schools in Afghanistan, and I mean, hopefully they're still standing. But we don't necessarily hide because of conflicts. We hope that people will leave us alone in our work.
Yeah, you come in, you're there for humanitarian purposes. You're not necessarily picking sides in any conflict, so to speak. You're just there to inoculate the children. There's a wonderful video. If you go to Rotary.org, right? That's the head.
Yes.
We tried to burn it and have it. We may have it on when we do the recap of the show. But Rotary.org, if you go to that, they have a wonderful video that talks about what Rotary is doing.
It's called What is Rotary, and we'll post. If anyone's interested, they can contact me. I can give them the link that'll go directly into the video. It's a 4-minute video, which is really very well done.
Yeah.
It really covers a lot of the generalities and of concepts of Rotary, some really great graphics, and it's a shame we just couldn't get it on now.
Yeah.
But
we have some technical challenges from time to time. Okay, tell me a little bit about the founder of Rotary. I always find it interesting. There was, just Paul P. Harris.
Yes.
What was his initial vision? How did this all start? Was it?
Well, I think it's like anyone now who wants to become, a philanthropist. At some point you want to give back to the world, to the community.
Now, he was an attorney in Chicago.
He was an attorney in Chicago, and with 3 of his business associates, actually they were lunch partners.
Okay.
So Rotary almost really did start as a lunch club.
Okay.
But it progressed from there. They formed their first Rotary Club, and again, it went from there to what it is now with 33,000 clubs around the world. He was instrumental in doing it. It went from there. They had their first convention, I believe, in 1923, I think.
Okay.
Where at that point, there was only a few clubs around in the United States. There weren't too many international. I think the first clubs began in England. And again, it just went from there. It grew.
What is, on the logo, it looks like some sort of a gear of some sort.
It's the rotary wheel, which the initial thought, and again, there's a history behind that, talking about the wheel and how it progressed. It started off conceptually as to show the industrialness and knowledge of, I guess it's symbolic.
Okay.
And, went from there, and then I believe it was in 1934, a Rotarian who was some type of a machinist came up with the idea of making it look more industrial rather than a wagon wheel, because initially it would look like a wagon wheel.
Okay.
Now it looks more like an industrial gear.
Yeah, some sort of.
And so, again, to show the knowledge and the industrialness of a Rotarian, so forth. Again, it's symbolic as much as anything.
All right, you had some high points you wanted to go over, some statistics, some interesting facts. This is what we call the lightning round. Give us a data dump on everything Rotarian and what you find interesting.
I think
what motivates you to be involved?
Well, for us, for myself, obviously Rotary it's become almost a second way. It's no more a hobby anymore. So it's become almost a way of life now. It is a way of living. Theoretically, you are supposed to initially live with the 4-way test, which is our sort of, if you want to call it, rules to live by.
Well, let's hear them. There's only 4. This is good.
There's only 4, and the 4-way test. The first one is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Right.
Okay.
And the second one is it fair to all concerned?
Okay.
So you can see where a lot of these concepts also apply to a business environment too.
Yeah.
Okay. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Now there you're starting to get into more of the social and international, internationalism aspect.
You know, I was touched by that because that's one thing in some of the stuff I was reading about.
And then let me just say the last one then is, will it be beneficial to all concerned? So, you know, those are the four that most Rotarians are supposed to, or all the Rotarians are actually supposed to live by and within their business, you know, doing business. And
let me see one more time. Okay, it's these down here. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Right.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Right.
All right. Yeah, I was struck by that your voice, your solution for increasing fellowship, and how do you encourage friendship between members during the entire week? That seems to be the fraternal aspect of...
Well, fellowship is a key thing to Rotary, because you're going to be able to get more things accomplished if everyone is friends with each other. I mean, this is a volunteer organization, and so you want to have, you know, you don't want to have to do something, you want to do it.
Right.
And by being friends with the people that you're doing things with, it'll certainly make it a lot easier and more enjoyable. So the weekly meetings that Rotary has sort of encourage the fellowship, the comradeship. I think you've been to our meetings, so you can see there's a lot of joking around.
Walk our vast viewing audience through the concept of the happy dollar. How did that come about, and what is it, and what's its purpose?
Well, the purpose is really
the happy dollar,
because in many times it's difficult for individuals to have a moment to get the attention of the crowd and to say what's on their mind. So this is a person's 30-second or 1 minute, if you may, where you're buying that minute for $1 to tell everyone in the room what you're happy about, what you're maybe sad about, something that's you know, something positive that happened to you, or if you've had something you know, something in your family, your business. It's just a way of telling everyone around you, your friends and your other members, you know, what you're happy for that particular moment. And it is a positive thing. I think our members enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, the one dinner I went to, I was struck by it. I thought it was kind of fun.
And I think a lot of Rotary clubs have still do that on a regular basis.
Now, can I just, because it seems like it's sometimes with a Rotarian organization like this, and this may be a byproduct of service above all else and helping your fellow man and eradicating polio and stuff like that. But if you're a local physician, I suppose it doesn't hurt your practice if you're a member of the Rotary Club. If you're a local CPA or an attorney or something like that, there's some networking that goes on.
Networking is never discouraged. Again, Rotary did start off as, you know, with businessmen, and they're the most members that we, that are in Rotary are either business or professionals. And so, you're never going to get away from networking and talking about business and what you do. And sometimes, you can possibly network with other members in the club. Sometimes you can just promote yourself, and no one's going to really discourage it, but that's not the primary purpose of Rotary. The community service is really our goal, but again, no one's going to totally turn away a blind eye to networking.
Right. All right, what are some other high points that we'd like to
Well, I mean, I can just tell you a little bit about what our club does. As I see, we're down to 5 minutes.
Yes.
So I can tell you a little bit about the Rotary Club of Ridgefield itself. As I said, we've been around since 1941. Very well, long-established club. We do a number, for a club of our size, we do a large number of projects, things in town. I'm sure you've been to one of our big fundraisers of the year, which is a Taste of Ridgefield that we do every January. It's always the Sunday before Super Bowl. It's a great event they have at the community center in Ridgefield, and they'll have all the different restaurants in Ridgefield have a display of their eating finery, and it's a caloric masterpiece of different food, and it's just great. And it's also our major fundraiser. All of the eating establishments that participate, graciously do it at no cost to us.
Oh, that's nice.
And so the monies that we do raise primarily go to all of the things, the projects that we do during the year, plus also our once-a-year grants that we give out to various community and charitable organizations. And we typically support grants to anywhere from maybe a dozen to 20 different groups in town, ranging from the Richfield V&A to the Richfield Playhouse, Meals on Wheels, who just happened to, we just had a special reception given to us by them where they gave us a tour of their new facility. They renovated their kitchens, and the Rotary, our grants to them.
That's over by Ballard Park.
That's in Ballard Green there. And they showed us their new kitchen, which was really very nice.
And Rotary helped fund that.
Rotary helped fund that. Yeah. Well, our grants did. I mean, I'm sure they got other grants too.
Yeah.
But we were a contributor, and they reciprocated by having a nice reception and tour for us. So it's things of that nature. Different other organizations. I mean,
Did you put in the playground next to the Parks and Rec?
Right. The Boundless Playground, which is it's intended to be handicap accessible for children.
Right.
First one in our area, and this was put in 5 years ago at our centennial, Rotary Centennial, and. Our club was actually able, between donations and grants, we raised over $500,000 to build that.
Wow.
So that was a significant project for us.
Wow.
I mean, we were even surprised how successful we were.
Wow, that is impressive.
So, and, different things of that nature. That's probably the largest project that I'm aware of we've ever done, but we've done other things. We were active in the defibrillator project several years ago, about 4 years ago, where the community, several of the community groups and Rotary participated with that, where we raised the money to buy, I believe it was like 30 or 32 defibrillators.
Wow.
For different organizations in town.
And so they're strategically placed around town?
Different locations, different organizations.
So whether it's rebuilding homes in earthquake-ravaged Haiti, whether it's trying to eradicate polio in some underdeveloped portions of Africa and elsewhere.
Water projects are a big concern for us, too.
Yeah, or whether it's building handicap-accessible playgrounds right here in Ridgefield and working with the local chapter of Meals on Wheels. You guys are very impressive.
We do a lot, again, for a club of our size. In many cases, we do it on our own, meaning just our members. In other situations, we team up with other community groups. We've done projects with the Lions. We've done it with the women's clubs in town. Whatever it takes sometimes to get the job done.
And you seem to be having a good time while doing it.
It is. I mean, you have to have fun doing something. Otherwise, you're going to sort of grit your teeth and not really enjoy it, and you probably won't want to do it again. So this is something that's ongoing for us, and I think all of our members really do enjoy what we do.
Well, listen, I want to thank you very much. If people want to get in touch with the Rotary Club here locally, if you want to, the website is rotary.org, rotary.org. You can go to that, and I think they have a breakdown where you can get the local chapter. Your website, you said, isn't quite as up to speed as you would like.
It's in a work in process right now.
Okay. Is there a phone number that people can get in touch with you?
They can contact me. They can email me. Again, the website is still active.
Well, what's the website?
The website is ridgefieldrotary.org.
Ridgefieldrotary.org.
Okay.
So if you want to get in touch with this organization, please do. I just want to thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We talked about this, doing this for a while. I hope you'll come back, especially when you have, maybe we'll do a plug for Taste of Ridgefield or something like that.
That's something, I mean, you guys can come over and you can do some interviews there.
That would be good. So. My guest for this part of the show has been Alex Carcinini, all things Rotary in Ridgefield. I want to thank him for coming in. We're going to take a brief break, and then Al Robinson, the purveyor of doom for various politicians, will come in here and will dictate the outcome of our democratic process before it even happens. It's incredible the way he can do that. So stay tuned. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to wrap up the show with the second half with a bit of a roundtable discussion. So stay tuned.
Hi, welcome to Community Access Channel 23. Let's go on inside and see what's going on.
Dream big.
Hey, this is Big T here telling you to dream big.
Hey, at Channel 23, you can dream big and direct your own show.
Dream big.
We want you to all dream big.
We
Dream big.
Cable Access, Channel 23, dream big.
Call us today at 203-792-1265 and find out how you can dream big at Channel 23.
Welcome back to Ideas at Work and Beyond. Again, I want to thank my guest, Alex Carcinini, for coming in. The more I looked into those Rotarians, they're not messing around. They are really, really doing some good in this world, both locally and around the world. And, you see them, you see the little logos as you're driving into a town, like Rotary meets at such and such a place. And it's really a unique and powerful organization. And if you're interested at all, I know in Ridgefield they're looking for members. So look them up in the phone book and get involved, because Rotarians are a good organization.
It's funny.
Al Robinson, yes.
You always drive into towns, you see like the Lions Club and the Kiwanis, and you always wonder what that's all about.
You do.
It's amazing that the Rotary does a lot of cool things that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, no. It's really, really incredible. I mean, $500,000. Anytime you can raise $500,000 locally to build a playground that's wheelchair accessible. I mean, what's not to like about that? That's
exactly.
Just a beautiful thing. And to eradicate polio and the Meals on Wheels, that's for primarily senior citizens that are shut in and wouldn't otherwise be able to get out and have a hot meal. So they do a lot of good work, and they seem to have a lot of fun doing it. The one dinner I went to, this Happy Dollar thing, it's really funny. You go around, what's your Happy Dollar? And you hold it up, and my daughter just had their second son, and so I'm a grandfather again, or whatever they're happy about. But it's fun.
No, it's really cool.
Okay.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on here in the area. We got a lot of stuff happening in the state. A lot of activities happening. That's going to be happening in courthouses pretty soon here in the area. We want to start with the Senate race.
Let's start with that. And I want to make a pledge to our viewing audience.
Oh boy!
That now that the dust is beginning to settle a little bit, you know what I mean, on some of these primaries, primarily on the Republican side.
It's settling?
Well, I think it's settling in the sense that, for example, we got Sam Caligiuri in the 5th, and he is running against, and I just got an email that the other candidate is on the ballot.
I really apologize if I mispronounced your name, because it's Justin Bernier.
Okay.
Bernier?
So now it's down to 2, right?
Yes, it was.
I think we should.
Well, I don't know. Is Greenberg out? Is Greenberg gone? Mark Greenberg?
That's the part that maybe it was Greenberg that said that he got enough signatures to be on.
I think Greenberg. You got a three-way. I can't see Greenberg going on. He dumped a lot of money into that race.
Okay, so if we have 3 candidates then for the 5th, the under ticket, if you're the undercard, if you will, are always willing to box.
Oh yeah.
They want to.
Oh yeah.
It'll be a little bit of a discussion, I guess, to have Sam Caligiuri come in and have a debate. I'd like to have. We had one.
We had it in the 4th,
and it was really good. People were able to call in and ask questions, email in to ask questions, and we had our, a vast array of local knowledge.
You got a lot of hits on YouTube. I think that's one of the more popular episodes on YouTube.
So we really got to get on our horse. Just so you understand, like Al and I, we have real jobs. Pretty much everyone around here does. You wouldn't tell by watching, but this is kind of just a sidebar that we're doing. So if we want to put together these debates, I got to call these guys and go, hey, listen, you want to debate? Oh, what's the format? What format? Just come in, we'll ask you some questions.
Is that Robinson going to be on? I don't know.
Yeah, Bill Robinson going to be on? I'm not going to appear.
I don't want to ask questions from him. He scares me.
Yeah, and then I don't see a bunch of Democrats walking in here either. They're a little skittish.
You don't want the emails I get from them.
Well,
like Marty Hyder, that Republican Town Committee guy, let me tell you.
Yeah, everyone's nervous. Everyone thinks there's some hidden agenda. There ain't no hidden agenda. It's basically just Al and I. We sit here and we turn the lights on and we ask some questions, and it's democracy.
Exactly.
And it gives you a chance to talk to a lot of people. So we're making a commitment that we're gonna between trying to run a business and raise a family, and my car needs new tires, we're gonna try and get these candidates in here and set up some of these. Between essentially now and August, at least on the Republican side.
That's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, if I don't know how Rob's doing in the 4th, and I think the deadline's coming up soon. I think the deadline should be sometime next week, June 8th, maybe.
Yeah.
If Rob gets those signatures, that's going to be a hell of a primary between him.
It would just be Rob
and DiBasella.
And DiBasella. What about the guy from Easton?
Let's put it to you like this: Rob was the only person close to getting 15%. The other guys were not even close. Yeah. And you know how many signatures you have to get, and you got a short amount of time to do it. Yeah. If you don't have workers out there trying to get the signatures for you, and you're out there doing it alone, and you know what you're going to make it.
Those signatures?
I think I could be wrong because I think it's June 8th. I think it's coming up real close. Real quick.
Okay, so once we know who's in, and it gets a little sort of complicated, but basically if you didn't win outright at the convention, but you got 15% of the vote, then you're able to get on the ballot for a primary. If you didn't get 15% of the vote, you can gather how many? 4,000 signatures?
It depends on it's different races. Congressional race, a lot of signatures.
It takes a while to do, but if you do, you're able to then get on the primary ballot. So I guess what we're saying is, once we know who's going to be on these primary ballots, we're going to really go after them and see, who's going to be willing to come in and sit down. And
it'll be fun. I mean, if we can pull something like that in, let's say, mid-July, when it's really heating up, because the primary is going to be in August, and sometime in July, these guys are going to want to come on and battle it out. It's free airtime, and we don't bite.
Yeah, we don't bite. Come on in. You'll definitely get a chance to get your voice heard and get your ideas out. So that's for sure. So what do we got on the Senate?
Well, look, we got another poll that came out from the right-leaning poll, Rasmussen. I want to call it. I always mispronounce that.
It's Dutch. Who knows?
Who cares?
Much better with Quinnipiac. Isn't that like in American Indian or something?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
But they've come back to reality because they went off a little on the deep end over this whole Blumenthal so-called news story. And they just came out with a new poll today showing that Blumenthal suddenly, again in their poll, is up 55 against Linda McSteroids, who has 33.
Okay. So Blumenthal's at 55%.
56%, I'm sorry.
56.
And McSteroids is at 33.
Okay, Linda McMahon is at 33.
McSteroids.
Okay. Let's just call her Linda. That's on all her promotional stuff. So Linda...
I thought it was sexy bitch. That's what it said on her boat.
You can't say words like that. You can't say... Is that what she named her boat?
Yeah, I mean, it's a female dog. Come on.
Hey, look, I think people get a pass on what they name their boats.
Whatever.
Some pretty obnoxious stuff. What was it? Something Crazy Monkey or something? Didn't that put in?
Jesus.
No. It was something. One of the presidential candidates out of Colorado back in the day, Gary Hart.
Oh.
He was caught on the back of the boat with something. That a crazy name. Anyways, okay. So basically, Blumenthal, I didn't fight in Vietnam, but there was a war going on in Vietnam when I was collecting toys for tots outside of.
That's really resonating in the polls. Really resonating.
Well, I don't see the steroid thing exactly taken off. Everyone likes Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I don't see it as that big a deal. I really don't.
That big of a deal.
Look, I think personally, I think that what we've seen in Hartford and what we've seen in Washington, I think there's a groundswell of support to get these career politicians out of there and get someone with some business sense and business savvy in there. That's what I think.
The perfect person in terms of business savvy, in which all these wrestlers that have died under her watch, to bring her in. And it's really reflective in the polls. It's definitely shown that the career politician is getting tail-handed by the madam of the WWE.
There was someone that looked just like you. When I bring up polls that aren't favorable for your position and your narrative,
absolutely
you
not.
say, a poll in June doesn't mean a thing.
Absolutely
it just
right.
doesn't mean a thing. But now you're all giddy like some sort of school child coming here. Oh, 56, 33.
What I've told you, what I told you, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying.
Right.
What I told you is that a poll is a snapshot of what a race looks like right now. You can base your health of your campaign on a snapshot of a poll, and there's something called a trend line also, which is much more important than just this particular poll. You look at a particular trend and see how your campaign is doing on a trend based upon all the polls that you combined.
Okay.
And of course, these polls, anything can happen, and the only poll that really matters is the one on voting day.
So,
you look at this and you say to yourself, hey, I need to do something to get my numbers up.
Okay. What
and
you're saying, though, is that Richard Blumenthal, who's the Attorney General of the state, which essentially means you get to go solve everyone's problem. You're always the guy on the white horse with the white hat coming in to save the day against those dastardly healthcare companies or the oil companies, or they're not fixing potholes fast enough and whatever. And here comes Attorney General Blumenthal. He's able to come in and solve all these problems. He's been doing this. How long has he been the Attorney General? A decade?
He's been the Attorney General since 1988. I think Joe Lieberman was the last one. I think he beat Weicker in '88.
Do the math on that. You saw it didn't hurt Lieberman's prospects either. But so this guy's been out in the pulpit helping people and solving everyone's problem, being the hero, photo op, news story for over a dozen years. And Linda McMahon just comes out of a grueling primary battle with Rob Simmons, where they were slinging the mug pretty good. They were. You saw the printed material, and even so, I'm not disheartened by these polls.
Well, of course you. Well, you're a member of the Ridgefield Republican Town Committee. You got to toe the line. I understand that. I respect that.
Well, you're a member of, I don't even know what it is.
I'm not a member of any town committee.
You're fine. You're not a member of the town committee, but
I'm just the guy who's got an opinion. You can voice his opinion.
All their swank
it's free food, man. What do you want?
I don't get those invitations. You do.
Hey,
so I mean, that's your
outings.
view of these polls. Yeah, speaking of golf outings, if we can put that up, June 30th. Thank you.
Plug.
There it is. Softball. I don't know, Dave, if we have that, because when the Republicans are upset, they show it by having a golf outing. That's going to be June 30th. We'd like you to come out. And a lot of the candidates we just heard from Dan DiVasella, who doesn't play golf.
He doesn't play golf?
He does not play golf, but he will be there for the reception afterwards to say a few words. Tom Foley has bought a tee.
How do you not play golf?
And be a Republican? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I don't know how you can do that, but you really need to be a Rotarian, play golf, and it's a package deal.
At least I thought so.
Once you get your voter registration card, they hand you a putter. It's unbelievable. It's good that way. All right, so if you have that graphic, David, it's such a beautiful graphic put together by Hutchings Advertising out of Ridgefield. But that's going to be June 30th. Give me a call, 438-2003, and we'll get you on.
So look, the other big thing that's going on here is there's two major things. Let's just talk a little bit about Danbury for a second, outside of these campaigns and stuff, because I've been covering Danbury stuff on my website, Hat City Blog, since July of 2005. So we're coming up on 5 years of me covering that. And I've been watching Danbury politics way before that. So I've been following Danbury stuff, especially when it comes to immigration. And there's a really big thing that's happening that's going to be coming up very soon, in a few short weeks. For people who know, the Danbury 11 case, which was in a situation where federal agents, ICE agents, came down to Kennedy Park and arbitrarily picked up a bunch of day laborers and decided to detain them. Now, there's been a lawsuit filed. There's been a civil lawsuit filed, and there's also been a deportation case that they're fighting. But I want to particularly talk about the civil lawsuit because in the wake of this particular situation, students from Yale Law School came and filed an FOI looking for information pertaining to this case from the city. They want to find out if the city was involved with these agents who did, which in their opinion is an illegal raid on these day laborers. This is blown up into what's called now the Danbury 11 case. And people are watching this situation very carefully because of a lot of things that Mayor Boughton has stated on record in regards to this case. Back in December of 2006, when this thing first came out, despite the stuff that people were saying on certain other shows on local access and certain cheerleaders for Mayor Boughton, I don't care. I was there. I followed this whole thing from the beginning. In December of 2006, when this thing was first filed, Mayor Mark Boughton stated several times to the media outlets that Danbury played no role in the raid that happened down at Kennedy Park. No role whatsoever. Danbury police had nothing to do with this. And he stuck to that word until September of 2007, when an actual suit was filed. And when the suit was filed, we found out in the process of this stuff that certain documents came out as a result of the Freedom of Information request, came out that Danbury police not only probably played a part in this role, but a Danbury police officer was driving the van to Kennedy Park. He's the person driving the van. So to make a long story short, the mayor's tone has changed. Instead of saying we had no part in the role, now he's saying that we did logistical support. We don't really know what that particularly means. Again, making a long story short, the mayor is going to be deposed in a couple of weeks, and we're going to get some questions answered in regards to this case.
It sounds like, there's smoke, there must be fire here, there must be some sort of conspiracy.
Well, it's not smoke and fire, but we need to find answers in regards to this case.
Fine, but I'm just saying, in the mayor's defense, you can see how if there's a local police force and then there's a federal police force that's coming in, they have to at least know what's going on.
You would think so.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, the federal police have their agenda, what they're trying to do. You see this playing out on the border right now in Arizona. You can't have the local town cop trying to solve the border problem in Arizona, so you have to bring in the feds. Well, the feds coordinate with the local police officers and stuff like that.
You would think that would be the correct.
Okay, but I think what Mayor Boughton is probably saying is, local Danbury police, we're not putting the cuffs on these guys and asking for passports.
There's been the talk out there in the public. That's all going to change because there's going to be a deposition done by the mayor, and we'll finally get some real answers about what Danbury's role in this was or was not.
Okay, and you know what you're going to find under oath? You're going to find that, yes, our police chiefs knew about that the ICE agents were here. I would be more concerned that they didn't know that this was going on. But the federal authorities have their agenda, and they have to do what they're doing. And if there's some sort of coordination locally, I don't see that as terribly sinister.
Well, again, we'll get to the bottom of that whole matter because there's a lot of charges that have been made in this case. And a lot of stuff that was said back in December 2006 that did not jive with what was said once this case came forward.
You're splitting hairs. I
really don't think I'm splitting hairs here.
I'll tell you one thing.
I think a lot of people don't think it's being splitting hairs, and we'll see about it.
But we had the chief of police on this show right here when Ivan was here, and this was a very hot issue.
Yeah.
And the chief of police said on this show that the ICE agents and this training and coordination, they're merely going after known convicted felons, violent offenders, drug offenders.
That's something completely different.
Okay, so that's what he said.
That's a different, separate matter.
That was a year or two ago.
It's a separate matter from what I'm speaking on here.
But have there been a series of these raids? Because if you want to see some heartbreaking footage, go on YouTube and just plug in ICE raids and see how this stuff works. We're talking Black Hawk helicopters to go after runners. We're talking about coach buses pulling up to factories and stuff. It's Kafka-esque.
Let's do this because I brought a nice, quick little video clip. It won't last very long, maybe about 5 minutes. Dave, if you're in the back, it's called 1C, and we can just look at the history of what I'm talking about here. And again, it's going to play out in court, and we'll really find out what's going on. Of course, there hasn't been any raid since this, not on the scale of what was done on Kennedy Park, because there's a now suit being filed. There's a suit filed, and you don't pull that type of nonsense after a lawsuit's filed. But we can watch this video clip. Watch it very carefully. You'll see what happened in 2006 versus the comments you said, the comments that are made in 2007. And after 3.5 years, hopefully we'll get some answers about this case. So without further ado, play that video clip.
Really all this is a Freedom of Information complaint dressed up to look like a lawsuit. I mean, this is a bunch of Yale law students that don't have much to do with their time.
Yes, he did once call for Danbury police to be given the power to enforce immigration law, but he says the city was not involved in planning that raid. It was the feds.
Fountain says the city played no part in the September 19th action, but doesn't think there would be a problem if it did.
The arrests were part of a sting operation. A Danbury police officer posed as a contractor and drove a van to Kennedy Park. This is where he picked up workers willing to help tear down a fence.
The surprise was when we got out of the van, we were surrounded by a bunch of men, and we were surprised and frightened because we didn't know what was happening.
The lawsuit claims Danbury police overstepped their bounds by trying to enforce federal immigration law. Ted and Ann, this is where that sting was carried out, where those 11 workers got into a van driven not by a contractor, but by a police officer. A sting, an operation that a lawsuit filed today says was illegal.
On the morning of the 19th, a Danbury police officer went undercover, posing as a contractor. He deceived day laborers at Kennedy Park into thinking he had a job for them. He drove them to a parking lot where they were immediately surrounded, arrested, and placed in police custody. No questions asked. The sting operation was conducted with no specific targets in mind. The undercover officer picked up whomever he could get in the crowd of Latino day laborers. He had no idea of the plaintiffs' names, where they were from, or what their immigration status might be. All he knew was that they were Latino day laborers standing in a place that the city didn't want them to stand. Without a formal agreement with ICE, which Danbury does not have, local police lack the authority to make civil immigration arrests. Federal courts across the country have consistently affirmed that only the federal government can enforce federal immigration law.
Back in December, when you filed the FOI suit, Mayor Bowden on Channel 8 and on Channel 30 stated that Danbury police played no part in the raid. When did you find out that the Danbury police officer was driving the van?
When did we find that out?
What time? This was, I think if I'm correct, Mayor Bowden made these statements back in December. When did you find out?
Yeah. We found out in, what was it, April? That's right. So actually we've learned this in the immigration proceedings where we're seeking to suppress the unlawfully obtained evidence. The government, in their brief that they submitted to the court, actually said that it was a Danbury police officer driving the van. And so according to ICE, it was a Danbury operation.
Besides the person driving that van, were there any other officers, Danbury police officers, involved in the raid, and if so, how?
Absolutely. They were in the parking lot when the men were arrested and were among those who surrounded the men at the parking lot and arrested them. They are named as defendants in this suit because of the actions that they did.
Just for a little context and background here, this is after Mayor Bowden had sought to have the police authorization to enforce immigration laws. It was told by the state government or the federal government that the state government that they could not do that.
That's right.
So if what you're saying is true, if the involvement of Danbury police officers is what you're saying it is, does that violate state law, federal law, what does that show?
It violates the Fourth Amendment because it means they didn't have the authority to make the arrest that they carried out. And that's what we're alleging in this complaint. You're absolutely right that the mayor had sought the authorization. Actually, he wanted to have state officers, state troopers deputized through this memorandum of understanding and was denied. the governor of Connecticut, Jerry Rudd, decided that it was bad policy. And so you're absolutely right that the mayor knows and the police chief knows how one would go about enforcing civil immigration law at the local level, and it's only through this memorandum of understanding. And yet they decided, for whatever reason, to do it anyway, which is why we're being sued.
Has the mayor clarified a statement that he made in December?
Not to our knowledge, no. No.
Okay.
Recently, we've been apprised of a lawsuit that's been filed by the Yale Law School against the City of Danbury, Chief of Police, and Immigration Customs and Enforcement. At this time, I have not seen or reviewed the complaint because, frankly, Yale didn't have the courtesy to give us a copy. So I'm not going to be able to comment on any details of the complaint or any allegations that are in the complaint.
Did federal authorities contact you and ask you to perform this operation, or did you contact them for assistance? Who asked first?
Well, I think at this point, again, without seeing the nature of the complaint, this is really something that we're going to discuss now, particularly because of the litigation. That'll all come out of court.
I think that in their freedom of information request that 3 months ago that there were police officer driving a van or they were going to be.
Well, we're not going to get a comment about the specifics of the case. We haven't read the complaint. We haven't received a copy of it yet. But in terms of who assisted who in the actual details and specifics of that event, we just can't comment on it.
The chief just said Danbury assisted us. Am I clear on that?
Logistical assistance. Logistical. That's right. The nature of that assistance, we're not going to discuss.
Do you understand the chief's understanding? Who made the initial arrests in this situation?
Again, that's a detail of the operation we're just not going to discuss with you, Mark. We need to read.
But that's a very public thing. I mean, who made the arrest? You or I?
Well, there's differing opinions on it, but we're not going to comment on that because we haven't read the complaint. We certainly don't know what the nature of the complaint is.
So look, there you go. That's just a brief video clip from my website. And again, this deposition of the mayor is going to be coming up in a few weeks. Hopefully the deposition will be made public so the residents of Danbury can find out and get some answers about what the mayor knew in regards to this case, because it's costing the city a lot of money. And with this firefighter lawsuit that cost us almost $600,000, I think the residents of Danbury should know what's going on. So.
Well, to take the other side of that, I think it's much to do about nothing. Your quote of the mayor right there was the city of Danbury was not involved in the planning of this raid. I think that's accurate. You got the federal authorities, you got the local authorities. Obviously, there has to be some sort of coordination, but they weren't involved in the planning of the raid and so forth. So,
we'll see.
I mean, during the break, we were just talking about this whole immigration issue, and it is a large issue. I do agree that rounding people up and deporting them is not the answer, but there has to be something more comprehensive. But you got to burn your butt about Mayor Bowden, so you're going to be chasing him till he ends up going to Hartford, which I think is going to be our next Attorney General anyways.
Yeah,
so Mayor Bowden, I think you're doing a good job. Don't let the Hat City blog get you down. All right, next week we're not sure what we're going to do. We're going to try and get. We may have a former member of the Jehovah's Witness. That should be interesting. And then going forward, we're going to try and get some of these candidates in for a live debate. So, and also, there's my Switzerland video. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Ideas of Work and Beyond. Stay tuned. There's always something exciting.